Hi, this is Bhargavi here. I'm just going to show you data-driven coded UI web testing. So I've taken a simple login application. So it looks just like this. You have to fill in your username and password and click on login, and it just takes you to this page. So this is the application that we have. And now let's see how we use Visual Studio coded UI testing feature to record a testing for this and then play it back to see the test results. Now, how do I do it? To create a coded UI test project, go to File, New, Project, and say click on the coded UI test project. This will create a test project for you. Since we already have one here, I created for demo purpose today. I'm just going to close this and come back to my coded UI test project here. So this is the coded UI test project. Now, how do you add a recording? That is when I click on the username and password and enter the details and click on the login button to submit. All my actions should be recorded. So how do I do that? You could do that by right click and say add new coded UI test. Now you can see as soon as I clicked on add new coded UI test, there is a code file that got created called coded UI test2.cs file. Now, to this file, I can record the actions or I can use an existing action recording. And when I record the actions, it's going to edit the UI map and add some assertions. You will be able to manually edit the UI map and add assertions as well to see what actions that you have recorded would actually go into the test and what kind of testing it has to go through to see whether the uh, steps you did will go to a passing or failing condition. So when I choose the first option, it's going to give me the recorder. So you can see that you have the UI map, coded UI test builder. So this is the coded UI test builder, which comes with a recorder. You can do start recording and it will record everything that you perform after you click this button. And then once you are done with it, you can view the steps by clicking on show the recorded steps. And then you will be able to generate your code using the generate code option, and to add any new controls or to make any changes to whatever you have recorded in the UI, you can use this button. So now that I have already recorded the login actions for that website and created my demo test code, I'm just going to show you what happens here in the coded UI test one. So it just created my demo test run, and then I added the steps for passing data. That is to make this test a data driven test. When I do my recording, I do the testing only for one input. But if I have to run the entire test for multiple inputs, so what do? I include a data file like this where it has the list of usernames and passwords against which I want to test my application. So when I go to the code, I, I need to set this data source reference, which will tell me which data file to look at, and then for which of the fields, what rows of my um, data file is going to be used. So I just set that, and then in my test explorer window, I will see the test method that will be run. So this is the test method that's going to be run now. And here in the code, you can see the login test. This is my recorded method. So you can go to the definition and see what happens here. It just says where you have to go, to which web page you have to go, and what is the control you have to choose, and what is the parameter that's going to get used. So the value of these parameters we are passing from the data file that we have, and then how we enter it. So this is my recorded method steps, and I'm just going to use the data from the data file And now to run the test, all I have to do is just say run all if you have recorded many tests for this project, or you can say run only the failed test if you have already run and just trying to rerun only for the failed test to be checked. And these are the different options that you have. Now I'm going to click on my coded UI test method and say run the selected test, and let's see what happens. So when I do the run for the test, it's going to build the project and start doing the operation. You can see the progress bar here. So for every record in the data file, it's going to execute the test, and it's going to show the test result for every record separately in the bottom of the test explorer window here. And the test is still running. You can see that for every playback, it is going to show you the data getting entered into the application. This is just a simple test that I'm running. You can write more complex steps by changing the code and writing more assertions, adding more test attributes to the code. If you are familiar with any of the unit testing frameworks uh, that .NET uses, like the MS unit testing framework or the NUnit or the Selenium unit testing framework, you can use them in this coded UI test method. So there are options available to use your own coded UI unit testing framework within Visual Studio. And also, um, you can know a wealth of information about how to do the coded UI testing from MSDN and what are the various browser compatibilities available, and how you do the multiple UI maps. That is, when you have multiple UIs to be recorded, all the information is available in MSDN, and this is like something that is built on top of the Selenium components. So a lot of things what you could do with Selenium will also be possible with Visual Studio. And one big advantage of using the Visual Studio testing is that if your development is in .NET, you can do parallel testing when you, as and when you develop, and it you can use it for CI, CD, continuous integration deployment as well from within Visual Studio. And even if your application is not inside .NET, or it's not a .NET project, it is still something you can test using this coded UI test project, because this project is going to be started from Visual Studio. Thank you.